So just to provide a little context to these videos, at Bond Wilson Technical Center, we're trying to make videos that are career-oriented and college-oriented to provide a little bit of information to our students and especially our high school seniors who are looking at either going to college next year or entering the workforce. So I'll start this video by just asking you to introduce yourself and share anything you'd like to.
Sure. So my name is Lilli Newman, and I currently work as a product success manager at Workiva in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Great. So this video, we're going to focus a little bit on Lilli's career and job and also on her experience attending the University of Arizona. So do you think you could describe your experience at the U of A and also a little bit about what you studied there?
Yep. So I attended the University of Arizona where I studied business economics, which falls under the Eller College of Management, which is the business school at the U of A. I was really involved at the business school in different clubs and different, professional fraternities. And I think that really helped me to kind of network and expand and find opportunities. At the same time, my degree in business economics was really helpful to kind of hone my critical thinking skills and different skills I thought that would be harder to find once I moved into the workforce. So I think it's important to consider your major, kind of what you think would be more difficult to learn post-college.
So kind of in that vein, how do you think your college experience prepared you for your career? And then if you could also talk a little bit maybe about internships and things like that your college offered.
Yeah, so I think specifically with the business school at the U of A, you spend the last kind of 2 years of the 4 years of your degree working really heavily on both quantitative and qualitative skills that you'll use in the workforce. We have a whole course kind of on business communications. We call it BCom, and that will actually now kind of continue as freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So that way you can really work on those more soft skills. We have exams that are even just writing an email response because, as one may not think, but writing an email response is kind of an art and making it succinct and, well understood. So I think that Eller does a really good job of kind of mixing those two different skills together within your major courses. And then for internships, they have a lot of good options at the U of A. So when you're a freshman or a sophomore, they have what we call externships available. So an externship is a 1 or 2 day kind of job shadow to help you maybe further flesh out like what you may want to do in your career without having to commit to a full-time internship. And it's a really great opportunity. I did an externship at Microsoft, and then I also did an externship at BDO, which is a smaller accounting firm. And both of those kind of helped me decide at Microsoft, does sales seem like a good fit to me? Does marketing seem like a good fit? And then at BDO is really more of a quantitative accounting side. And even if you have absolutely no clue what the person does who you're shadowing, it's just helpful to see what they may do day to day. And, really a big picture, I think you want to imagine, is this something I could see myself doing, or is this just absolutely boring? Internships too, they provide a really good not only network, but then they have different career fairs that are put on, and they can help you kind of find those different internships that may interest you throughout the summer. And then the last thing I'll say is that they have career coaches as well. Those are outside of your academic advisors, and they're really, really helpful in connecting with the right people and helping you prep for your interviews.
Well, that sounds like they did a pretty good job kind of focusing on career development and career readiness, which is very cool. I guess I'll skip to my next question, which is if you're thinking about either high school seniors, I guess, or first year college students, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so I think just to piggyback off my last answer, one helpful thing is just taking advantage of the resources that present themselves. I think when you enter college, you'll get a lot of email blasts and get on a lot of email chains, but you may be reading those and there are opportunities that come up in those that you may apply for, think you'll never get, but because maybe someone else doesn't read those email chains, you actually may end up getting it. So from that side, I would just say, like, you know, exposing yourself to as much as possible. Academically, I think office hours, especially at the University of Arizona, are very underutilized. If you just straight don't understand something, that's what office hours are for. And they're also helpful too if a professor does open office hours to see what other questions students are asking if another student comes in, just so you can help. You know, maybe you thought you understood something, and then the way they ask it, you think, okay, maybe I don't. So I'd say office hours are another big resource to kind of help get you to where you need to be.
Thank you. Okay, we'll talk a little bit, I guess, about your job now. So can you describe your company and also maybe your job title and what you do for them?
Sure. So I work at a software company called Workiva. We provide cloud-based connected reporting and compliance software to other companies. We offer a lot of different solutions, but I focus on what we call our governance, risk, and compliance portion. So that's kind of what you could think about maybe as more like accounting, like a SOX and internal audit side. And I work specifically, like my title is a product success manager, and I'm responsible for the technical well-being and health of my customers. So I make sure that the database software we're supplying to them is functioning properly in a way customized to them. So we don't necessarily sell an out-of-the-box software like Microsoft Word where it's not customizable. We sell something where you buy the software and we're able to kind of customize it to your process. So that's kind of what I do, is just make sure that the software is working well for customers and in a way that works well for their team.
And then what does your day-to-day look like?
Today, my day, well, so it usually starts, I log in and I support a team across the US. So my first kind of thought is to go check on my East Coast employees and make sure that there's nothing they need, you know, and make sure that there's nothing huge and outstanding that I need to jump in and help them with right away. After kind of checking in on any urgent questions, I usually log into a separate software actually where my team submits different technical tasks for me. So when members of my team need my help, they'll go ahead and submit a task for me, and it kind of just sits in a queue. So my main responsibility really as a product success manager is to go ahead and kind of complete all these different technical tasks and, you know, customize the software for different customers. And then outside of that, I always have a quarterly project I'm working on as well, that kind of spans larger across the application instead of like on my individual customers.
What do you enjoy about your job?
I like to be very hands-on and technical. So prior to starting this role, which I actually started about a month and a half ago, I was a customer success manager. And when I held that role, I did a very small portion of technical work on our database. And I had identified it was something I really liked and something I wanted to do more of. So it helped me kind of pinpoint and apply to my new role now, which is heavily focused on the technical side.
And I guess for me and for other people that might not understand so much, what do you mean by the technical side? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we have, how to communicate it well, we have basically a front-end facing database product that we give to our customers. So if you've ever seen like a SQL database, it's somewhat familiar, but it's in proprietary code. So it's a little bit different, but basically what you can imagine is that a customer has given us like infinite amount of data, and we have taken that data in, mapped and model it. So when the customer looks at different things, it seems very user-friendly. But to the back end of all of that, there's a lot of work to make sure that their data looks the way they want it to. You know, an example would be, there's a lot of regional differences in the way that people work with software. So some people may call, like, I'm trying to think of those different, like soda versus pop. So one customer would want something called pop, one customer wants something soda. So the idea is that I'm customizing our software to fit what they need and the terms that they use. So I basically utilize our proprietary code in order to change what the software looks like to them.
That's really interesting.
That breaks it down a little. It's a little hard to explain.
No, I think that does. And That's like something I never really thought about as needing to be done, but it makes sense that it does.
Yeah, when you use a lot of out-of-the-box software like an Excel or Sheets or really anything like that that isn't changeable, you wouldn't necessarily think about it. I'm trying to think of a really common software people use, but the only one I'm really thinking of is something like a Mint, like that budgeting app that maybe is kind of like it, except for that's more in the customer's hands to kind of customize how they look. But on Mint, you can change the way your graphs look for your total spending on budget. And the idea is we do that with much larger sets of data, and then I do that with like a proprietary language on the back end.
So are you doing the coding essentially?
So it gets really complex. So every application has like their back end, which supports like how it actually works, and the front end, which supports how it looks across applications. And then I work in an even more niche spot that I work on the front end of every specific account. So I don't change the code across all of our accounts. I change the code in one specific account because there are so many differences in the way people do their jobs.
Okay. And then what's the worst part of your job?
I think just comparing it to my previous role, which I recently left, I kind of missed the relationship building. I think that was something I really thrived on and did well. Was in my previous role, I used to work with 40 different accounts just to make sure that they were always happy with the software, where we could expand, having them talk to product about different features they'd like to see. And I really liked building out those relationships year over year. And in my new role, I'm kind of more internal than external. And of course, that's really freeing in a lot of different ways. But at the same time, I think the one thing that I guess I dislike that I don't have the relationship building anymore.
That makes sense. And then I just have one more question, which is kind of open-ended, but what advice would you give to students who are interested in working for a software company?
Oh, for a software company specifically?
What do you think prepared you the best, I guess? What should they focus on either in high school or college?
Well, so when I knew I wanted to start going into tech, I started looking at internships on my college's job board. And I didn't really know I wanted to go to tech until junior year. And I was like, you know what, the software industry, technology, it seems like a good place to go for career stability. And also just having a lot of career options. So I went on my job board and tried to find something that I could apply for and I would actually get and it would be relevant. And so I actually ended up interning at the tech park. So a tech park is kind of like a research and incubation development space. And there was one down in Tucson. So I applied to do an internship at the tech park to get more exposure to, technology companies. And I think that actually was a really good selling point for me in interviews, saying like, hey, I didn't realize this interest till later on, but look, I tried my very best to get some, background that may be somewhat helpful. I know it's not the best, but like I'm just showing you that I had interest and I did try to pursue it, even if it wasn't a very technical internship at all. I worked on analyzing smart cities for the city of Tucson, but just showing that you have that kind of drive and ambition is important. And the other thing I'll note too is there's a lot of really good on-campus jobs. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people I know worked in our IT support group at the U of A. I think that's another really good stepping stone that maybe some people don't think about to do. And it's something that also shows that intention.
Great. So it sounds like applying for internships and getting experience is pretty important when looking for a job.
Yeah, I would say definitely experience is huge. And I know sometimes that can be really difficult. So that's why, some people may need to work throughout college, and those jobs on campus can still provide you with that experience that employers are looking for.
All right, well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for coming to my interview.
Thank you.